What's up guys, so recently I made a video talking about the potential AI scams that were happening at art conventions and just warning people to be careful where they're spending their money. Now if you go looking for that video on my channel now, you're not going to find it because unfortunately James C. Mulligan Jimmy here has decided to file a wrongful copyright claim against my video and added a copyright strike to my channel. Now for those who are not familiar, Jimmy is a self-proclaimed Disney legend. He has done some work for Disney in the past and has since then really attached himself to the brand. But recently, a lot of allegations have come out against James C. Mulligan and his potential use of Gen AI in his work, as well as deceiving his customers at conventions. It was also noted by a lot of people online that he seemed to have plagiarized a lot of his paintings. When this copyright strike first hit my channel, I thought this must have been a mistake because every single image that I used here falls under fair use. Now I might be mistaken here, but I'm pretty sure Disney, Lorcana, Flounder, Ariel, and Rapunzel belong to Disney and not James C. Mulligan. And to further prove this was done in bad faith, James has claimed the content was found in the entire video, when in reality the total time that all of those images are actually on screen adds up to less than 50 seconds. I counted. Now, I was gonna let this one slide because I'm a man of peace, and we all get emotional sometimes. Understand it, I get it, Jimmy. But then I found out that he's been going around and doing the same thing to other YouTubers and striking other people's channels talking about this issue. Jimmy here appears to be on a campaign to take down all sorts of content that even remotely mention him using false copyright claims. This is just straight up bad practice. Inkwell, who made the very first video on this subject and whose video I cited in my last video, also got the same copyright claim. Now, Jimmy here has also sent cease and desist letters to both Inkwell as well as the original kid who called him out on X, with this post saying his wife is now threatening me legally. Fortunately, I've not had the honor to receive a cease and desist letter from him yet, but I don't know, maybe I did. I just don't check my emails. Clearly, in this scenario, Jimmy has very bad legal standing and there is absolutely nothing that he could sue us for. This is unfortunately a pressure tactic that might actually work on smaller artists who are afraid of potential legal fees and involvements, and even of just James's self-proclaimed standing in the industry. Now, so far, this whole AI allegation against him seems more like a he said, she said type of deal because we cannot definitively prove that somebody actually used AI in their work. We can only have our suspicions. And just for the record, even if Jimmy did use AI, I don't have a problem with him using AI, but I have a problem with him trying to sell it as something that he made himself. But again, that's not the point of this video because there is no definitive proof. What there is a lot of proof for, however, Jimmy, is blatant plagiarism. It is my personal belief that this guy is just a very shady character who has been grifting the art community for a long time. And I'm surprised nobody has caught on until now, but here's a post on James C. Mulligan by Gawky on Blue Sky Social. James C. Mulligan is going after videos and people who call him out for selling AI images. He's using copyright as an excuse to get them removed. So this is the first piece of evidence where he took a Bambi background, official background, and put it into his art. Now you can see the background versus the art, and there's going to be a layover here just like that. That's the background overlaid on top of the art, and it is a 1-for-1. And that's not even the worst part. So apparently the characters here are also traced. There's the original, and there's an overlay with James's version of these characters. The pose is a 1-for-1. Now, I'm sure many of you guys know this, but it doesn't matter how skilled you are as an artist. If you reference something, there's going to be differences between that thing and your drawing. It's never going to line up 1-for-1. So this being lined up perfectly is very suspicious. Going to start off that even if the final piece doesn't look like the original, he definitely starts off with the original. This is a post where he showed his process. The sketch is exact to the original, but the final is just a bit different. So if we take a look at that here, that is Jimmy's sketch, and that is the original reference that was used. Look at that. Again, a 1-to-1 copy. Oh my goodness. Look at that. I thought maybe he actually made this 2014 one himself for a while, but the original is Steve Thompson's from 2013. So that is quite clearly a 1-to-1 copy in terms of the composition, the characters, the pose. His work from 2014 is not even a millimeter off from Steve Thompson's from 2013. Here's another one. Couldn't come up with a single original pose here except for maybe 3 characters out of 18 as OP overlays the original characters and drawings over James C. Mulligan's drawing. All of these characters that are in this image have a near identical, well, it's not near, sorry, basically perfectly identical overlay of that character in a different form done by a different artist. I mean, this is absolutely insane and it's just so very blatant. Even the portrait itself of Walt Disney. Here's everything all together compiled, and watch when it's turned off and on. Everything lines up perfectly. This piece he's been selling forever is just an inspired art germ copy, and honestly, I cannot tell a difference between the proportions, the shape language here. He literally colors coloring book pages and sells them as his own original work. And this is insane. That's as close as you could possibly get. If it's a collage, then tracing most of it is okay, right? I mean, goodness gracious. More from coloring book pages, and even a scene directly from the movie when the characters bump elbows, but they're bumping air here. So here's an overlay placed on the drawing of James C. Mulligan. That's a still from the movie. And again, this overlaid over James C. Mulligan's drawing is a 1-to-1. That is absolutely insane. Now, a lot of people thought this piece was actually AI because of the way he spelled space adventure, but unfortunately, I'm going to have to give James credit here. He actually drew this himself. He just copied it from a plastic toy. It's a 1-to-1. Look at that. Even his originals might not be original in reference to his more traditional drawings. Milt drew a couple versions, with one being a perfect match. Look at the way that lines up. I mean, this evidence is about as damning as you can get. He also copied Gregory Manches's amazing painting here. Now, this is the James C. Mulligan version, and that is Gregory's original. Now, if you take some of these characters and just overlay them on top of James's characters, oh my goodness. Look at the way the poses match up. That is identical. And there's even more where that came from. If you just go on Reddit, you'll find that James actually copied another Lorcana artist. The left one was done by Brianna Garcia and was posted to her account in 2017. James posted the one on the right in 2019. Here's another example of James C. Mulligan drawing characters over a direct still taken from the movie and selling it as his own work at art conventions. And when I was doing a deep dive background on James C. Mulligan here, I found this one interview that I found particularly interesting. The interviewer asks, what is an artist's role in society and how do you see that evolving? To which James C. Mulligan responds, I've heard people say that an artist's job is to tell the truth. I disagree. I think an artist's job is to lie to us in a way that we want to be lied to. We want to believe that Mary Poppins can fly. We want to believe that Monet's lily pads really had that movement and color. I hope I lie to the world beautifully with my art. You can't make this shit up. James. Oh, James. Make my job so easy for me. Now, James, of course, denies the allegations that he's been blacklisted from Disney, but in this screenshot with a Disney Fine Arts employee, they said, please know that we haven't worked with Jimmy since 2018 and have zero connection to him. His works have been deleted from our site, editions closed out since 2018. And we have zero, all caps, to do with him. He doesn't have any agreement with Disney that we know of, and certainly anything related to our license, Disney Fine Arts, and our company. Now, it seems that Disney Fine Arts and Disney Lorcana are probably different departments who don't really communicate with each other, so somehow James C. Mulligan has snuck his way into another department and started doing work with some of the people there. Now, I got a lot of this information thanks to my fellow YouTuber Inkwell, so go check out his channel and his video on this subject and go show him some support, because if Jimmy hasn't learned his lesson, he's going to try to take these videos down. In that case, Jimmy, maybe we'll just countersue him. Maybe we'll just... Yeah, maybe I'll get paid. So I hope this video can serve as a warning to you guys on Jimmy and his character. And if you have worked with Jimmy in the past, if you have bought things from him in the past, if you know him in any capacity, this looks to me like a guy who has very shaky morals. So please be careful when you're around him, and please be careful and do your research before you decide to work with him. The accusations of him defrauding customers using AI prints cannot be definitively proven, but regardless of that, I think we found plenty of proof here for plagiarism. And I'm not gonna lie, if James C. Mulligan didn't go around on a copyright strike campaign against everyone's videos, I might have just moved on without ever finding out about how bad his plagiarism was. So there's that. There's the current situation with James C. Mulligan, self-proclaimed Disney legend. Now, I should not have to say this, but this video is not a cue for you to go and harass him in any way. Do not send him hate messages. Do not leave hate comments. Promise me you're not going to give him any precious time out of your day, okay? I just want you guys to be aware of this so that anytime you see this guy at future art conventions, you can be aware of the questionable ethics that are operating behind his art. And seriously, who does this? Like, who just applies copyright strikes on every video that talks about you when you don't even have solid legal standing? Like, this is done in such bad faith, and I feel like this reveals so much to me about Jimmy's character that I feel like this needs to be known across the entire community. So there he is, ladies and gentlemen, James C. Mulligan, one of the scummiest artists that I've come to know in the entire community. And if this video for some reason goes down in the next few days, James has struck again. Let's hope not, or I'm gonna have to contact YouTube support. Subscribe to my channel if you want to see more art related content. Check out my Patreon for monthly tutorials, and I'll see you guys on the next video. Oh, Jimmy. Jimmy. Why would you pick a fight with me, Jimmy? This is so foolish. Why would you do this?